do not sleep on your information architecture. So I wanted to make this video because I was watching some people talk about Obsidian online, especially on Twitter, and then there was also a Reddit post talking about like how the para method and second brain don't really work for them and stuff like that. And I've mentioned before on this channel how Tiago Forte popularized a lot of that second brain para method, but something I've mentioned quite a bit is that the para method was made before all these tools really existed. Same with Get Things Done, GTD, and what was the other one? The Zettelkasten. So all these different methodologies that people are used to doing, they're not really made for these tools. And while you can adapt those tools to any methodology, so you can do Zettelkasten or Para in Notion or Obsidian or even Acrium and some of the other tools out there, it's not always the most ideal. And that is why I created my PIOS. I'm not trying to convince you to use the PIOS. I think it is the best, or one of the best at least. I think the Pipes, Pillars, and Vault from August Bradley is phenomenal. So if that works for you, go with that. All I care about is that you find a system that works for you. And there's one other thing I really care about actually, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because you can't be raw dogging your information architecture. That is something I can't stand seeing, and it's so common to me. And there's a major reason why people are doing it right now. And that major reason is AI. I know that AI is a contentious topic, and I might lose some of you in this video because of AI. I'm going to talk about AI in a positive light. I know that there's issues with it, especially with data centers and how it's screwing up the RAM market. I get it. And also stealing artists' work. Obviously not good. But if we're using AI to manage our information and data and databases and projects, then it's useful and it's good. And we want to talk about it in that regard. And I also want to preface that too by saying I am much more in support of AI locally, having a mini PC with an NPU in it so you could run the local models on your own. That is what I really support. I'd want you to have that, not using AI in the cloud. That's actually one reason why I don't use AI with my Obsidian Vault, because I don't trust the AI companies with my data like that. Even Claude, which I definitely really like, I don't want to put all my stuff into that cloud. And then like with ChatGPT, I don't trust at all. And Gemini is kind of 50-50. So I would suggest not using a cloud-based AI. It's better for the environment if you don't anyways. And so with that out of the way, I wanted to talk about like using AI. For example, with Obsidian, there's like 60, maybe 100 different plugins for AI usage. Some of them are simply just making connecting tags between different nodes. Some of them are reading your entire vault and has like a full-on RAG memory for you. Some of them are just simply having an AI chatbot on the side of your vault. All of them are useful, and I think that in their own way. And then there's a few of them out there that kind of combine the same use cases. And at some point, I think I'm going to make a list of all the different AI plugins. But at the moment, I don't have any opinions because I haven't used most of them, or really hardly any of them at this point. I just wanted to mention that like when you're using AI with your knowledge management system, you shouldn't be overly reliant on the AI, right? We all want that Jarvis and that kind of Iron Man experience. It's great. And some people have emulated that and made their own version of Jarvis, especially with Claude and Obsidian, or with other methodologies too. But the thing is, you don't necessarily want to fully rely on that. And I also know that the other way is also true. You don't want to fully rely on just your personal usage of it. And I think that's kind of a novel concept people don't talk about very much, where there is like the point of human only, AI only. And I think you need to find that balance, strike the middle, if you will. And I think a lot of people, they use the para method to keep things simple for their brain to organize. Okay, you have projects and areas and resources, cool. But it is not the most efficient use of the tool itself because of the way it's limited. But on top of that, too, I think it's just kind of limited in general. The para method is more geared towards specialists, and it limits people who are more generalists, which is also why I created the PIOS for those polymathic people. And so, regardless of which system you use, though, you don't want to be limited mentally or organizationally wise from the methodology you're using. However, the other aspect behind that is your system itself that you've chosen to organize, how you've structured all of your nodes and system. That can definitely change how your AI interacts with it. Now, I know that most RAG systems and like the way the AI reads all the data, it's kind of just like all at once. It doesn't really matter how the folders are structured because it's just going to take all the nodes in. But the information architecture of like folder A, folder B, folder C, all the way down can change how it's retrieving that information in that linear pattern. And I don't know if there's a more exponential way of reading the data. There might be some more alternatives to RAG. I don't even fully understand RAG either, so I don't want to say I know a lot about that. But I think that the interesting concept of how you go about organizing the structure for yourself and for AI and trying to find that balance of how do you make it perfect for both or as close to perfect for both so that you can use AI most of the time and be like, hey, retrieve that information for me about from this note from years ago. But alternatively, I like writing, I like creating content, so I'm going to be interacting with my vault and my knowledge management system very often because I'm going to be writing and oftentimes maybe not writing in Obsidian, just writing in Ghost and copying it over, or I might be writing my book in Obsidian. So I'm going to be actively using the system itself alongside the AI who also has access to it locally. And I think that that is an interesting dynamic. And that's why I wanted to make this video because a lot of people are not thinking about it in that way. And so this video is more of just like trying to open your eyes on that concept where if you are trying to organize your life and accelerate your progress and growth, that's great. And a PKM system is a number one way of doing that. You definitely want to have one, whether even if it's a notebook on your desk, that's still something. But having AI will help accelerate it even farther. You just don't want to overly rely on AI like a lot of people are doing right now. They're trying to fully automate it or fully offload it, and you're missing out on the benefits of you doing your personal journal, you doing content creation, you doing those kind of things, interacting with the vault on your daily basis. Because I still need to do more daily notes and weekly notes. I know that, but by doing that, you're putting your information in. That is your input into the system. Your daily notes add up, and the more information you put into your daily notes, how you're feeling, are you tracking your habits, what happened today? Did you have an interesting dream you want to write about? Those kind of bits of information add to your vault over time. Some people think of them as kind of useless, but I think that it's very helpful, especially if you have the data collected over time. Like, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 5? Pretty shitty all these different days. And something's going on, and by seeing it in a holistic manner, the AI can notice it, like, hey, you've been feeling bad for 30 days in a row, you might want to go talk to a therapist. And that information that the AI retrieved only occurs because you input it in. And that is why I was saying, like, you don't want to have just a fully automated system and not just a fully manual system, because you might not be looking at the macro view of all your emotions for a certain period of time. But the AI might be, you might have a little cron job in the background where it's like, okay, check out, like, every so often, refer to this database. How am I feeling? If you notice it within 30 days in a row, let me know there's something wrong. Or maybe, hey, like, maybe you're feeling good for 30 days in a row, celebrate. And that way you can keep that celebration going, keep that happiness going. And those are actions you can take after having that data that you inputted in, but also read by AI. It's one example of many that can happen. And I think a lot of people are just not taking into account the information architecture of how your folders or tags and systems are set up. And I want you to be aware of that. And that is why I made this video.